Okay, I think we are. I think we're working.
Hello.
We're.
Looks like we're good.
Yeah, sweet. So like YouTube's back end was telling me that it was not working,
Oh,
but it looks like they were lying.
okay. Well, now we got it. Is it blurry?
Okay, so I am Dalton, and this is my wife Cassie.
Hi.
And we own Peerless Watercolors. And the other wonderful person you'll see on the screen is Mrs. Caitie North, and she is our content creator and in-house artist and all-around awesome person. And she's going to teach us how to make or how to paint these beautiful mushrooms today.
Cool. Hi. Welcome. Yes. So we have 3 mushrooms, and the reason why we do 3 at a time. Oh, I gotta go this way. There we go. Is with watercolors. Before you are able to do a second or third layer, you have to let it dry. So we're going to be working either on a clockwise, or you can do 3 different paintings and just set one aside while one is drying. So we're going to use. Do you want me to go through the colors, or do you want me to do them as we're do the drawings first?
I could start with the colors.
Colors, okay. So for this lovely central mushroom, we are using chrome yellow, and I said lime green, but it's actually light green, and then mahogany brown. So it's just gonna get like this little shift color change into the yellow. It's gonna be really, really pretty. Just kind of, you don't really want it to be like a lime color, but when the orange mixes with the green, it kind of just mutes it, and this it does pretty fun things. So it just makes it a little bit more of a earthy tone than like a bright orange or yellow. And then this Morel Mushroom, we're doing sepia brown. How do you say this color? It's the, I never want to say it wrong. It's the
Is that
like the
ecru?
brown. What is it?
Ecru? I don't know. I
You
think
know how to say it, because I don't know how to say it, and I did it for another tutorial for Peerless for you guys. And on the entire time, I was like, okay, now you're going to want to use this color. And I was avoiding saying the name of the color because I didn't know how to pronounce it the entire time. So we're just going to, yeah, that one's the brownish yellow is that one because I don't want to say it wrong.
like ecru. It looks like. But I think it's one of those colors that's like has been around for like a century. So
And
I think
everyone
however
says
you
it
want to say
different.
it, it's fine with us.
Ikru? Yes. Okay. Well, that's for that one. So sepia brown, and then the ikru, which is it's a really pretty color. It goes from a brown, and then when it's in a lighter wash, it gets a really soft kind of yellow color. So you're able to get a lot of different tones with that one color. And then so for the red mushroom, we're using the scarlet vermilion and then neutral tint, which is kind of like a bluish gray. And it can get pretty dark if you're using it very saturated, but when you mix them together, you get really soft, kind of really soft pinks. And I think they're really pretty. So all of these only have about 3 washes, and their washes are pretty simple, but the important part of it is just letting them dry in between. And like I said, that's why we're going to be doing 3 instead of just 1 at a time. So first step, we were going to do the central mushroom, which if you've never had one before, they are amazing and super delicious. I used to pick them in Washington, forage for them. Yeah. So to get started, I'm gonna try to put right over here. There we go. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so get your pencil, and then we're gonna, it kind of looks like a tree. So you're gonna do like a tree stump, like that. And then you kind of just want to bring it out, and you want it to be as natural. So the really cool thing about these ones, it has like the little wavy areas on there. So as long as you get that tree stump, and then just pick somewhere to start, and you just get this like little wavy line, you can go up with it or down with it. just like imagine if you're drawing a tree basically, and then you're just gonna connect the area, and then just form a weird little top. So it's different from this one. I might make it a little bit more, but it's really, you don't have to get too crazy with it because there's like a ton of mushrooms in nature and they look super funky, and you know, so don't have to be crazy perfect. The other little part over here, you do kind of want to get like maybe like a fold or a lip, so you can have some shadow coming from it. And then the bottom lip that goes underneath that tree trunk. And then some like little floopy ones. I don't even know. They're like up here. I made it like a lot bigger, but that works. Want me to hold it closer?
I think I got it.
Something like that. So, so this is kind of like the funny thing. It's about like doing like sketching or drawing. Like when you're sketching a face, if you make one side look lopsided, it's gonna look like a really awkward face. But like if you make a mushroom lopsided on one side, it's gonna look like a mushroom. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that we have that done, we are gonna put the first layer of paint and then let it dry. So then we'll move on to the Morel Mushroom. So get this all set up. You know, my thing is actually flipped. I guess it doesn't really matter though.
Yeah, no, I think we get the general idea.
Yeah. I think my screen is flipped from my camera. But
yeah, like mirrored or something.
Yeah, there probably does have like a mirror setting on there too that I probably could switch, but I think it's fine. All right. So for this first wash, I want you to test out your colors because how light and dark this chrome yellow is, it makes a huge difference. So if you put it directly from your sheet of watercolor paper, it is almost like a neon bright orange, and that's going to be too bright for this mushroom. So if you have a neon orange, that's your direct dye or dark pigment one. And then if you get another one, that's the lighter wash. You see how different the colors are in between. So that has more water. That one's the direct from the watercolor swatch. And what we're going for is that lighter one with just a touch of yellow. And it gets kind of this a kind of mixed tone that we're going for. And if you can see on my palette that I've made, backwards.
You mixed a little bit of the green in there, you said?
Yep, we're going to use the light green. So I'm going to put a piece of packing tape on here to make a travel palette. So you guys are using palettes, little plastic palettes. This one has packing tape on watercolor paper, so it's a travel palette. So we're going to use my packing, and you want to get a pretty good amount there. You want to be able to do the whole entire thing, and you can test it next to there. That's still a little bit too much orange. One more drop. Now it's a little bit lighter, and then add a little bit of the green to it, and it's just going to give it that nice, just a barely tint to make it look a bit more neutral and more of a brownish yellow, I guess. I don't like saying brownish yellow because it's always brownish yellow, but you just want to mute it just slightly, and then so you can see how it looks more of that muted tone versus that orangey yellow.
And then anyone who we sold like the paint for this all month, and in those I sent out grass green instead of light green, which is what.
Oh, grass green. Yeah, I think I actually wrote lime green, which on the swatch, which I think it was the light green from the thing.
So in case anyone who's watching is confused, grass green is what you're going to be using.
I think it should work with grass green though. Let me look. Let me see. Grass green is a pretty yellow green too, so it should work. Just make sure you use a smaller amount than you would of light green. So, but it should still work. So once you have that all done and you have the puddle of paint, all you do is fill up your whole mushroom top to bottom. That's it.
Is like green your go-to color to mute yellows and oranges?
Usually no. Usually to actually mute it, you want to use like a orange. Orange would be purple. Like yellow to orange would be purple. Green would be muted by, I guess, more. Why am I blanking on my color wheel? What is it? Red and green. Red and green are opposite. Orange and orangish yellow would be purple. So whatever opposite it is on the color wheel. I don't really necessarily want to mute it. I just want to shift the color a little bit to have like a little bit more. Yeah. Something. I don't know what it is. It's something.
It reminds me of there's like this Instagram channel that I watch where this guy can like mix any color. He uses like acrylic paints.
I've seen that. I actually get really stuck watching his videos.
They're so cool, but it's like one of the biggest things that surprised me is when he color matches the basketball and he's got like a collard green green in there.
Oh yeah.
Like, I would never have guessed that green's in the color of basketball.
Oh totally. Well, because if you put like a darker color, that's just gonna make it darker, like brown, but not like if you put the opposite tone, it's gonna make it go down a level in shades versus like changing it with the different pigments. So it's probably not the right way to say it either, but no, he's awesome. That's my favorite one that he did was a green grape, which you think would be easy, but there's red in it to make it look like the correct color. So that was a good one. And then so you can see now there's it's all yellow, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of green just while it's wet, if it still looks a little bit too orangey in some areas. And then again, if you're using the grass green, just make sure you use a very transparent amount and not like directly from it. So the light green, if you're using the light green straight from there, you don't have to worry as much because it is a pretty soft color. But yeah, that grass green is definitely packs a punch. Okay. First one done. Okay. Now you can put it away. And I'm going to try to leave it here, so if anyone's still working, they can see it a little bit better. Okay. So for the second one is the Morel Mushroom, and they are super yummy too, and they have been said to taste like steak when they're cooked. So this one, it takes a little bit longer to draw, but it's still very easy. You're going to do a big teardrop shape. And then, like, instead of like a teardrop, you're just going to cut the top off. So. Focus. I can do it a little bit darker. That might be better. Just make it a little darker so it shows up a little bit better. And then the bottom is like another tree stump and then a little kind of funky bottom. And then, so the way that I was trying to explain how to do these dots, because this mushroom actually looks really cool. Like it's like a shell, and then they're all holes, and they go inside, so they look like little caves or caverns, inside of the mushroom. But the shapes of the little holes kind of look like giraffe spots. So we're gonna go down the entire one side and just kind of like make longer but awkward shaped dots, kind of like what you would imagine a giraffe dot would look like.
Are we
But
just
just leave enough space that when you put, so like there's more of an outline when we're doing the outer shell and then the little caves. Does that make sense? And it's like when you're going next to it, you can do some smaller ones, and you're just going to fill up the whole thing with your drag spots. And then some bigger ones, some small. They're not really circles. They're more kind of like oblong, weird, and kind of triangle-y looking. Not triangle, what am I saying? Oblong? I don't know.
It's kind of irregular.
Irregular. Yes. Thank you, Dalton. Do they look like giraffe spots? Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. When I was younger, my Uncle Mike and his family are much more like, hunters, always in the woods, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we went over there, and they told my brother and me that we were going to go hunting for morels, or however you say these mushrooms. But they told us it was a tiny furry creature that moved very quickly from stump to stump.
Oh my god.
And they spent like 2.5 hours just when my brother and I were looking one way, from behind us they'd be like, "Oh, there goes one." And
That's amazing.
Never stump or hole. Yeah, it was they had a really good time.
I think that's. I feel like I might need to do that. So you guys have morel mushrooms there.
Yep.
Do you have central mushrooms there too?
That I don't know. It's like I know we have. It's called like 10 of the woods, like because we found a few of those, but we haven't specifically ever like looked for chanterelle mushrooms.
Gotcha. Yeah, they might be too cold. I remember once, was it after the first frost? I haven't lived in Portland for 10 plus years, so it was a while ago. But they're some delicious mushrooms, and you find a bunch too. Like there'll be restaurants that even will buy them from you too, because they're just the seasonal menus. Like, oh, they're so good, very very good. Are you done with your giraffe spots? Okay, so exactly like the first mushroom, we're going to fill it top to bottom. So the colors that we're using this time are sepia, which is very, very dark. So that's going to be our shadow. Let's test that out. And then the ikru, what did we say? How are we going to say it?
Ikru?
Ikru. So when it's first down, it makes a really pretty darker brown. And then once you dilute it and make it a softer wash, it's that kind of golden color. So that golden color is what we're going to use. So if you can use your palette too, you want it to be like an even tone all the way through, because this first wash is going to make the outside little lines and then the start of the base. So you're just doing top to bottom, the lighter wash.
So, but that was sepia and ikru mixed.
But just ikru by itself.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just showing you the colors. And then all the way down to it. So the whole entire thing.
Did you say you've eaten these mushrooms? We never actually found any.
Yes, they're really good. I've never found any of these ones, but I know people in Oregon and Washington find them. But I've never found any of these ones, but I have tasted them. And they're very good. All right. So once that one's done, set it aside. What are these ones called? Are they the emanating ones? What's the right name for those?
The red ones,
The red with the white dots. Are they called that? I think that's their name.
I just know them as like the toad head from Mario Brothers.
Yeah, right? Those ones. So I think I have to move this a little bit forward so I don't get the paint smudged. Dry enough. Backwards. Alright, so this guy, we are doing the little frill and the base and this. And so what makes this one look so cool are these little white dots. And then what makes it look more realistic and gives it shape is that the little white dots come up over the top of this kind of mushroom shape. And then we'll draw it out first. But the first colors we're actually going to do is the shadow behind the red. That kind of makes it like it's popping off the page a little bit more and makes the white of the dot stand out more white. And since there's a darker shadow behind it, they look like they're raised. So to draw this one, we're going to do our classic mushroom bubble. Or like, you know, a moon, but then that one. And then just kind of swoop it down. And then you can just do the entire base first. And then you're just following along the base line. And then those little kind of ruffles for the frill. And then once you have the kind of outline, you can erase these middle ones. Did I go too fast?
No.
No.
The camera's just shaking.
Oh, because I said the table.
The camera's
Oh,
not
the
shaking.
computer's shaking. Well, that's good.
So once you have you kind of follow the line and then do your frill, you're going to erase these two lines inside. And that kind of gives you your frilly area.
Yeah, I found out the eraser on this pencil being one of two pencils we own, is terrible. It makes a bigger mark than what was there.
And, you know,
the damage.
hopefully, I mean, it is probably gonna. It's a light pencil, so hopefully it's gonna cover up with the paint anyway. So now you want to do all of your irregular dots, and so you can see on mine, they just look kind of all different shapes and sizes. They're a little bit bigger on the top, and then you get a few more little ones on the bottom. But fill in all of those areas because you want to avoid all of those areas when you put down your red. And then definitely the main thing too is put some above your mushroom on the top.
They remind me of like little pop rocks. So you just sprinkled pop rocks on the whole thing.
Totally, or like big salt crystals, and because like you want them to be all like jagged a little bit. Like they're really cool. Or sprinkles. You could get some good sprinkles. And then if you trust your pencil eraser, you can erase the lines that are inside your little white areas. But if you don't trust your eraser, you can maybe just fill it in later with white gel pen.
Being ambitious.
Am I gonna
many
regret how
pop
many
rocks
dots
you do?
I'm doing?
They might get a little some might get a little lost. So if you have a few more, that's fine too.
Okay.
Will help you troubleshoot if your red gets too wild. Okay, so for the first wash of this one, these one more time. We're just using the neutral tint. So just like the other ones, the neutral tint by itself is very dark, like almost a black. So we want to get it to a very soft gray. And then I'm just gonna add like one dot. Like I'm gonna add a dot of the scarlet vermilion on the paper first, and then I'm gonna add it here. And it's just gonna shift it just a little bit. So instead of this gray color, instead of this gray, it's gonna be like this other gray.
Yeah, I think it's a little hard to see on your camera, but
yeah,
definitely
it just has like a really light pink hue to it.
Yeah,
So
really cool.
you almost can kind of see it. So this one's more of a bluish. This one has more of a pink hue. That's all it is. So you want it to be very light. And then what you're gonna do is I'm gonna flip it upside down because I think it's a little bit easier to do a line over it. And then I'm gonna follow the entire top of the mushroom, not getting it inside my little white dots. I want that's what I'm trying to make stand out the most right now. Those little white dots. And then once I get my line, I'm gonna soften it up. I'll do it again on this side here. I don't know if you were watching. If you do your line and then soften up.
Kind of giving it the smoky eye look.
That's right. Yeah, totally. And you can add a little bit more if you want. If you want it to stand up, like be a little bit more of a darker.
We go around the whole mushroom or just the top?
I'm just doing the top. You could do it all the way around, but just the top. And then that same color, you're gonna do the entire base of the mushroom too. Which you could do it like a little bit darker.
I think it's fine.
Like that.
I do the inside. I've like never thought of shifting colors with other colors as bad as I've done, but so far it's awesome.
Yeah, it's just I mean, I really like iridescent colors too, where you just kind of like you could start off with like a silver, and then like different areas that you put it in when it's wet, you could just add a drop of pink or like a drop of blue or a drop of purple, and then it kind of just shifted into different areas, and it makes that's where it gets exciting.
It was huge.
Yeah.
I like that they're like all individual paintings instead of the one. I feel like they can look all cute in like in frames right next to each other.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, so are you guys done on that one?
Yep.
Cool. So now we're gonna go back to our first one. Okay. And so how we did that shadow blend on this guy and how we kind of followed it and how I turned it upside down and did the line and then followed it. We're going to do basically the same thing to create the definition and shadow underneath this, like
That ridge thing.
that ridge. Yeah, that's a good word for it. So you're going to follow this line all the way across and then blend it down. So we're not doing any texture or like hard lines on this one, but it's just to make a separation between the top to the bottom. And for this, we're going to start using the mahogany brown. So I can show you real fast. You don't want it to be like a mid tone, so kind of around there. And then get this. Oh, I got messed up. You're gonna follow the line. So that's, you probably want it a little bit darker, but, and then blend down. And you can even get this whole area wet too and kind of get it darker, but you want your darkest line to be right under there. You make your line. Right over your pencil. And then blend it down with your whole brush. Like that. Is that working?
Yeah, so far.
Cool. And then with the lightest kind of wash of that mahogany brown, you want to bring it down on the base a little bit. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing. Perfect. And you can even, while it's wet, you can add a little bit more right under the frill, so the contrast is a little bit more too if you want, just so it kind of comes out a little bit more while it's still wet, and you'll get that nice blend still. And then once you do that, you have to wait for 1 second. All right, and then so the same thing, but a little bit smaller motion is we're going to follow this top line. And then I'm going to wipe off my extra and then just like hydrate that area next to it with water so it softens up. So you're not going to go all the way around on this top one. You're just going to do that top, and then you're going to follow. I'm going to show it a little bit closer. You're going to follow the squiggly line, but not touch it, and you want to make make a barrier really close, and it's going to make a highlight. You don't have to put that much paint, but if you want to look real fast, see how it makes that highlighted area, and then you're going to blend in between the two. So the brightest area is the darkest next to the lightest. Does that make sense?
I think so. That's what we're filming like the whole thing.
And it gets all that cool because you're just letting the water move it around. But now you have the lightest next to there, and you're just, that's my dog. I'll do it again on this side. You're gonna outline next to the pencil line. But then you're going to take your brush and hydrate just all those areas with water so it blends but leaves your highlighted area. And then it starts to get a little bit more shape to it. Okay? And then you're going to do the same on this top one. Outline it with it a little bit darker. Either take the paint off your brush or just use it like it is, and then add that water, and then so it pulls down into the painting. Same thing over here. Outline. Wipe your extra paint off. Add your clean water. And it softens that line. Yeah. I always feel like it's super satisfying too, like when the paint is finally thick enough that it covers up all of your pencil lines and the shape starts coming. You can't see the pencil anymore, so it looks more like a painting than a drawing. How's it going?
Good. Good. Besides the fact we're both very quiet painters, or I guess quiet.
You're very focused this time. Okay. So now we're gonna put that one aside to dry. And we're gonna work on our red one.
No, it's good. Regular.
Okay. So the idea with this one is we're going to fill all of the red in, top to bottom. But while it's still wet, we're gonna get all of the different tones of the red. So the lightest wash and like the brightest red is gonna be closer to the top. And then we're gonna do more saturated red and then make sure it's wet all the way down. And then when it's still wet, we're going to add our neutral to this lower half. And so when it dries, you get bright, middle, and dark in one gradient. So this one you want to go, pretty good. So you get quite a bit going, and you just start filling up with kind of that brightest. And you definitely want to make sure that this gray is dry. And if you want to protect yourself, you can do a barrier. So this is what I'm talking about, a barrier. If you're not comfortable with watercolors yet and you don't know if your paper's dry or not, you can make this little skinny like hairline of dry paper in between your gray and your red. And that is just going to make sure that they don't blend together and give you like another round of drying before you do that area. Can you see that? Is it blurry? That hairline of white paper in between is going to protect you from either like waiting a little bit longer until you're 100% positive, and then if it's not dry, you're going to save yourself from the red just going all the way out into the gray and making like a,
Yeah.
Technical terms. So fill up the first top half of your mushroom first with that first pigment that's super bright.
I think waiting for it to dry / knowing when it is dry is like one of my biggest like Achilles heel.
Yeah, and it's so different with different kind of paper too, because some paper you don't want it to dry if you're working on super soft blends, so paper is made for it to like dry slower, and then some other paper dries really quickly, and then you get those kind of like harsh like watercolor edges if you want to move it more funky. So now I'm about midway. So instead of doing my puddle, I'm going to go straight from here, and it's going to be super dark. And then as soon as it starts to get light again, I'm going to go straight from my palette and get a whole new filled paintbrush full of paint.
So you just want it like real super saturated.
Super saturated. Because I mean that top is super saturated as it is, but you want, if it's a red mushroom anyway. The watercolors are so transparent and they can be so soft in the washes that you do. But I think the one of my favorite things about Peerless is how vibrant they are too. You can do both of these steps at the same time, and like there's so much pigment in just a tiny amount of paint that you're able to get like the scale, and I just think it's so pretty. So the bonus of having super pigmented colors.
Believe me, they're. I was making, if you can see, I was making Hunter's Green today,
Oh yeah, yep,
and it's very pigmented.
very very pigmented. Hi, baby.
She's waking.
Yeah, sorry, we have a newborn that's about to explode.
All right. So once you get midway, you're gonna do the same pigment as here, but then you're gonna add like drops of the neutral tint as it's still wet. So I'll show you real fast in the middle part. So highly pigmented, still wet, still blending. When you get a good section, you're gonna go over your pigment, and you're gonna put it down, and it's just going to darken that red. So once you go all the way across, it's gonna look like the deepest part of the color.
So this is definitely like the mushroom I was most excited to paint, because it's like
Yeah.
I just want to squish it. But it's like, what made you decide to like to pick out this mushroom, just from its color?
Oh,
or-
I think this is like one of my favorite mushrooms too. Like it's just like so bright, and the contrast with the white, I think that looks so cool. Especially in watercolors. I don't know. The other two were definitely my you know, cooking side of things, and be like, oh, these are like the best tasting mushrooms. But this one's just like totally pretty. Striking. The striking mushroom.
Have you ever gotten to see one in the wild?
I have not. Have you?
No, never.
No. Nope, I have not.
I feel like because this mushroom is so striking, though, it's probably one of the ones that will kill you like instantly.
Probably.
That's like the one thing that keeps me from going and like foraging for mushrooms. It's like self-doubt of like, there's so many that look kind of like mushrooms you can eat. But
I've never gone by myself. I've always gone with people that are much more knowledgeable than I am, and I think that's probably number one importance. Okay.
Yeah, it's just such a like such a high level of like testing. You know, it's like not a great game to play. It's like 50-50.
Right. So you can see that it's still wet and has a sheen on it. That is how wet you want it to be when you put this darker in there, and you just kind of go the same thing around the bottom. And while it's still wet, it should blend and do a softer. But it's kind of crazy. This paper is not the same paper that I use for the practice ones, and it definitely dries a lot faster than this guy, because you can see On this one, the blend is a little bit smoother. And this is my Archie's, my favorite paper. And then this one, I think it's just like a, what is it? Strathmore, maybe? Yeah, Strathmore watercolor paper. And you can see the difference of it, how it blends. I did the same exact way. So that's like the difference of different quality of paper. If you want to, you could go back and like rehydrate and add more, red top to bottom, but I still think it looks pretty cool. So I don't think I'm not too worried about it. I might blend a little bit, but
Yeah, mine is definitely cheaper paper today also. It's like drying pretty quick.
Yep.
It definitely looks more like apocalyptic, but it still looks like organic,
Yeah, right? It still looks really pretty. I'm not mad about it. I think this mushroom still looks really pretty. Again, if it was like a portrait and I wanted the skin tone and like the shadows to be really smooth and not very harsh, I would be kind of pissed right now and be like, why is this so hard? But it's also because it would be the wrong paper for the job. But if you want those sharp kind of like really cool watercolor sharp edges, this paper might be a little bit easier for that too. So just so you know. All right, are you done with this one?
I am.
Okay, so now that that's done, you're going to do our, we skipped to that one. Okay, the Morel Mushroom then. This one's really easy. All you're gonna do on this round is fill up every draft spot with sepia brown in like a lighter wash. So sepia brown can get very dark. You want it to be about a medium level. So we're going for not darkest, but like a medium. Like that.
And just filling in the draft spots, you said?
Just fill in the draft spots, yeah. Pretty simple, huh?
And unfortunately today, since we don't have our iPad out, I can't really see comments because like YouTube's just not showing it to me for some reason. So I'm sorry if you're reaching out with questions right now, and we're not ignoring you by choice. I just can't physically see them. What city were you moving to, Caitie? I said, what city were you moving to?
We are moving to McKinney, Texas from Pismo Beach. So we're making it's a pretty big move, halfway across the country.
Especially considering Texas is like half the country. Like
yeah. There is the ongoing joke. You're like, I can drive through like half of the, Pacific Northwest to San Diego in a day, but then you're like driving through Texas for a day. And like it just doesn't make sense in my brain, but that's literally how big it is.
Yeah, it's like for us, it's like we could either drive to Colorado to like Denver or from Wisconsin, or the same time as like getting from here to the border of Texas. It just like looking at the map, it doesn't make sense, like you said.
It doesn't, right?
So if you're in McKinney, Texas, go knock on every single door until you find Caitie.
There you go. Which should probably be a lot harder than Pismo Beach, because Pismo is actually very small. There'll be more doors for sure.
Pismo Beach looked like something out of like a movie, though. It looked like a Wonderland.
It's a very cute town. I highly recommend it for anyone that wants to visit California, but isn't really about like bigger cities. It is like the perfect little surf town, and it's adorable. All right, so once those are all full, we're gonna do the same thing on the draw your line. Oops. Draw your line on the base, or little tree trunk. Wipe off your extra, and then soften it down to create the shadow of your mushroom stem. Someone was wondering the mushroom names, but it looks like someone answered the question. They say they love the baby in the background.
Oh, can you see the comments?
My mom's texting them to me.
Oh, nice.
And then asking for the colors. So we are using chrome yellow, light green, and mahogany brown on this mushroom. And then this guy, we're using the Ukru and sepia brown. And then our red mushroom, we are using scarlet vermilion and neutral tint. All right, and then once you're done with that, you're gonna move back to I like this song. Have you heard mushroom music before?
Oh yeah, I saw that YouTube video.
It's amazing. It kind of reminds me of it. Okay, so in this one, we are gonna do the frills. So the frills, get closer. What I think the frills look, they're kind of just lines coming from the base to the top, and then when they get closer to the top, they split up into 3. So the thing about these frills is that usually you draw them out with a pencil, but you want the lightest color to be the line that you're trying to highlight. You kind of just have to think of it as like a negative. So instead of drawing the line that makes it look like this, you want to draw the line so the lines stick out like the negative.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Whether or not I can do it is a different.
That's what you're going for. I would just say just work small, and then when you're at the base, it's still lines, but it's up here underneath, and it's darker anyway, and it's in shadow. So if you don't get it, if you want to just do regular lines too, that's one way to do it, and it will still look really good. But just trying to get the frills, because the frills are supposed to be the lighter area. So if that makes sense. So instead of drawing 1, 2, 3 line, you do a line, and then move like this. I guess it's more like that. Something like that. But
And what color are you using for that?
we are using, it's a good question, mahogany brown.
Are you doing just straight from the sheet, or are you diluting it at all? Or
I'm doing straight from the sheet, and then when it gets closer down here, I'm kind of just softening it up a little bit. So it's still the darkest on the top. Let's show you. I'm gonna do some like harder, like sharper lines first. Oh, I picked up the wrong one. That's okay though. I'll do some big lines first. And so when I have those little kind of areas to fill in now, I'm going to fill those areas in with the negative line. See how I did, see Dalton, how I did 4?
Mm-hmm.
I did 4 first, And then on the inside, I'm filling those in with the smaller to kind of make those frills pop out. Kind of hard to hold a paint at the same time.
You've got like surgeon hands. Mine are like I've had so much caffeine today. The small motor control is not there.
Right? Yeah, we definitely have been increasing our caffeine intake because we got an espresso thing, the little pods. Now it's just like way too convenient having like all of the coffee all of the time.
Sounds like Seneca got up too. So she might be making an appearance.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one's come in here yet and said hi. So again, starting at the darkest, and then as you get further down, it gets a little bit lighter. And you're kind of doing those guidelines first. And then you're going to go back and add those smaller frilly ones. And then the thing with this side is that this part of the mushroom is actually kind of folded over. So instead of coming from this top part, we're going to come from the bottom and go upward. And then while that's still kind of wet, that same pencil line that we did for that first kind of shadow, I'm just going to follow one more time and give it the thickest shadow line.
Mm-hmm.
But this time I'm not going to blend it down.
Kind of like stitches the frills up under it.
Yep, exactly. And kind of connects those frills so it's not just like floating lines either, so they're kind of connected to something.
Do you need to come here through your Seneca? Do you need to come through your Seneca? You want to come say hi?
Mm-hmm.
You come here? Say hi to Katie.
Hi, hello. Do you like having a baby sister?
She's like, nuh-uh.
That's okay. True didn't like it for a little while either, but now they're best friends.
You can tell someone just got up from a nap and she's looking for a cookie.
That's right.
You're gonna say hello? Say hi? Nope.
So yeah, that one's actually pretty much done. We're gonna do a little bit of highlights on there, but that's pretty much my central mushroom.
Beautiful.
Yeah. All right. So let's work on this one again. So this next one, we are going to want to add our shadows. So we're going to be working with the neutral tint. And it's going to be not the darkest, so that would be the black. So we're going to do in the middle, medium. We're going to create a line here. and under the frill. And then wipe your extra off. And then pull it down so that it softens.
Yeah, you said it because now I'm deciding to talk.
And that just creates those shadows. So it kind of pop out from the bottom and then pop out from the frill. So again, you do a line. And then hydrate the space below it. And then hold it down. You can add more while it's wet if you want it darker. And then once you're done with that, you're gonna take your neutral tint and make a little petal. And then underneath all of your sprinkles, that's too much of a petal. You're just going to add a dot under your sprinkle, and that's going to create your shadow that makes it darker under your sprinkle, so the sprinkles look like they're elevated and raised up from your mushroom. See how they pop out so much more?
Yeah, that was amazing. Like how shading brings your piece to life.
Right? Yeah, it's just really barely just a tiny little dot underneath it. And you want it to be pretty dark. And then, of course, if it's a bigger dot or a bigger sprinkle, you want a bigger dot. And then if it's a smaller sprinkle, a smaller dot.
This mushroom reminds me of like Spirited Away or like My Neighbor Totoro or something.
Totally. Alice in Wonderland mushroom too.
Oh yeah. Like you do just want to bite it. It's a very dangerous looking mushroom, but you do just want to take a bite.
It's appealing, yes. And I didn't do this on my first one, but now I'm liking it. So I'm gonna do an outline on the bottom to make it the darkest. Oh yeah, those are popping now. Levitating sprinkles. And then if you're more comfortable now too, that little line, that barrier line we left between the red and the dark, if you want to fill that in, you can. I'll show you as close as I can. So I did it out. There's a barrier between the gray and the red. I'm just going to connect it. And it's going to take away my pencil line again. So now that I'm 100% positive that gray is dry and the red's not going to bleed into it. All right, so that one is going to be put away to the side. And we're going to go back to this guy.
Is your mom sending us any more comments?
Let's look. I think she did. Jenna wants Seneca a cookie. Do you guys know a Jenna or a Jana? Jana?
Maybe.
I think Seneca's on her way to get a cookie though, so I
Oh yeah,
think.
she got a full handful of cookies.
Perfect.
Otherwise, it'd be a lot more screaming on camera right now.
Oh yeah, right. Whatever works. I'm sure my boys are having lots of treats right now. Okay, so now this next guy. I mean, I guess you can't really see it because I did the outline a little bit, the highlights. But so how we did those giraffe dots, we're basically going to do it again, but inside the circles. So what's really cool about these mushrooms is it really does look like there's like caverns and like caves and different things. We don't. It's hard to see it, but we'll just trust me. So on this one, instead of drawing them out with pencil, you're gonna go for it. It's not gonna be a wrong way or right way, but you can kind of fill up some areas, and then you don't really have to blend it. But if you get kind of like little dots on the inside, it's just gonna make it look a little bit more dimensional. So just kind of go around. You can outline the whole thing if you want. The white, not the white, like the creamy color is going to be the sharpest anyway, and you can kind of just make some like more designs on the inside.
And is that what color was that?
That's with the sepia brown.
Just straight off the paper?
Yes, definitely straight off the thing. So you want it to be dark. And just kind of make some irregular shapes inside there too.
And this is the part of the broadcast where I forget to take breaths. Trying to make these small little things.
I know. I actually made these mushrooms like pretty ginormous to try to show them on the video, and it's kind of fun. I wouldn't normally make a mushroom this big for a painting, so it's actually quite simple keeping it inside those little lines. But everything can be fixed too. White gel pens are a wonderful thing. You made it meant to look like that. An easier way of describing it too might just be do like an outline of your area and then just kind of add some extra lines on the inside.
Yeah, I'm kind of like just doing an outline and then filling the inside with more giraffe dots.
Yep, that works. Giraffe dots. I love it.
Sprinkles and giraffe dots.
Sprinkles and giraffe dots. I might be spending too much time with children.
Well, it's probably giving you the upper hand teaching me today. With children.
Well, whatever works then. Okay. And once those are all filled, we're gonna do. So the thing I want to work on a little bit is that this pencil line is showing all the way around, and I'm gonna make a kind of color in between the icru and the brown, and then just kind of outline it and just kind of hide that pencil line a little bit.
I'm still working on my caverns.
Gotcha. actually doing pretty good. It's only been about an hour. That's it.
Like it's like, and you know, it's almost been an hour, but we have like 3 paintings almost finished.
Right? I know. That's definitely working in the. I told you they're a lot easier than you think. It's just doing the steps and waiting for the layers to dry. That really is the trickiest part because you just want to keep working on the same one. Yeah. There's only so much you can do in that dry time. Alright, so once you're done with your draft dots, we're gonna mix a little bit of that euchre.
I think it's had like 10 names since we started debating what they call it.
This is why I don't say it.
You gotta say it with confidence.
That's not. I can't because I know I'm saying it wrong.
Oh, don't worry. The internet will tell us how to say it.
Right. So we're gonna add some lines on the base of this one, but they're not quite as frilly as the central one. So I'm just doing a little bit of an outline, and then underneath to kind of give that sharper shadow.
And that was with just straight icru.
It grew with a little bit of the sepia brown. And I'm not trying to make individual lines too much. Just more get some texture. And then I did do that outline all the way around just to kind of soften my pencil line. My pencil lines are a little bit darker than normally would, so I wanted to be able to show on the video. So I was just kind of trying to hide them a bit.
Any news from Washington?
No news. All good.
And then I'm ready to move on whenever.
Perfect. So we're gonna do the lines on this one, and then I believe after these got this one, we're ready to do all of the highlights for everybody. So this guy, he's just doing a few lines, just kind of similar how we did to the Morel. You want it to be like a grayish, not too dark, but not too light either. And then I'll just add some. And then the bottom a little bit lighter. These are going to be pretty light. Yeah, okay.
All right.
And we will do one more darker shadow once those ones dry, but we can start working on our highlights. So you can either use a white gel pen. I like to use white ink with a paintbrush. Whatever works. And then this is just going to be our pop of highlight where the sun or our light source is hitting it. And then I just like to put a little bit, so it kind of depends. Personal preference. I used to do a lot more highlights, now. I've toned it down a little bit because I like it a little bit more natural looking, but personal preference for sure. For this one, I'm going to go on here. It's kind of where that middle section is the lightest. And then the lightest area next to the darkest area, I'm going to try to do a little bit softer. And it also helps you kind of clean up your line. If there's any areas that were kind of blotchy, you can kind of cover it up. Wait. See how it kind of just makes a little shimmer, like where that kind of, where a highlight would be.
Yeah, it gives the mushroom the right amount of slime.
That's right. Little slime line. That's right. And there's, yeah, totally no right or wrong amount of highlight. It is all up to you. So another thing too, I can show it. I don't know if it'll show it since it's a pretty small detail, but like yeah, I might not show it. Right here, there's like a little bit of pencil line. And I'm gonna actually, instead of using it as a highlight, I'm using it as a corrector. And so I'm gonna cut this corner with the highlight. And so that darkest line of that watercolor kind of really makes it pop out a little bit more. So you can use the white as a corrector too. So you can see it. I don't know if you can see it that well.
I think you explained it pretty well. It's just like real life Photoshop.
Real life Photoshop. That's right. Okay, that looks pretty good. Looks tasty. If you like mushrooms. If you don't like mushrooms, then probably doesn't look very tasty. Okay, so this one gets a little bit more lines, and this one you kind of go around all of your darker lines, and then those little tiny inside draft dots you did, you kind of want to pull towards the center. So I actually pulled up a real mushroom, and they look funky. So this is a real one. So what we're doing is trying to get some of those highlights to go deeper down into the darker areas, and that helps with the white highlight. So I'll do one. So try not to go too much on the yellow because you want quite a bit of the yellow there still, but like on the inside here, you kind of outline it and then pull it down inside in these weird little ways.
So the inside lines, you're not following anything. You're just kind of doing random.
You can follow a little bit your guidelines a little bit. So I'm kind of going around my my inside dots, but I'm leaving some of you're leaving enough of the different tones. So you want there to be the inside draft dots and the outside, and then almost not following it with the white lines because you want to see both colors inside your dot.
Makes sense.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. Like this one's dark enough you can see it. So you do the outside line and then around different areas you get both sides. And it just kind of makes it weird, kind of frilly, a little easy way to get it funky. So you can see like how it kind of makes it kind of blend a little bit more into like that weird, awkward morel shape. Instead, transform it from draft dots into morel mushroom.
Easy transformation.
Yeah. Which this is why I like using the white ink too, because it goes a lot faster.
Yeah, I
And
was
it's
just gonna say I think
and,
my white gel pen is kind of dried out. It's kind of leaving me in the lurch. So I wish I would had some just white ink.
oh yeah, the white gel pen. That's the only problem. Sometimes if you store them like this way, all of the ink goes to the bottom, and so then when you're going to use it, you're drawing this way. So I always keep mine upside down so the ink stays at the pen cap, like where it's supposed to come out.
Mm.
But I don't even know. I think maybe the white ink is definitely thicker than normal ink because I feel like my white gel pens always dry out a lot faster than regular pens too. So that might have something.
Yeah.
A factor.
It feels like this one dried out, and then like the ball part of it kind of dried in place.
Oh yeah, like it's glued in place.
Yeah, so it's kind of like it's just kind of scratching my mushroom.
Oh no, yeah. We don't want that. That would not work. Oh yeah, see now it definitely looks way more funky now.
Definitely less giraffish.
That's right. Oh, it looks so funky. Yeah, I just think this one just looks so weird. I think I like it. I think that's why I like it.
It's crazy how much this one last step has like transformed it.
Yeah. And I feel like too, like there's no like right or wrong way to do these little lines either. So I feel like it's a good beginner piece where you're not, trying to follow eyelashes where you want them all to be the exact same kind of flow and things like that. Like are good practice. And then I'm doing just a little bit of highlights, little squiggles down on the base, but not too much either. And that one's done.
Beautiful.
All right. So for our last highlights, and then I'm going to put one more shadow line with a darker neutral tint. So it's going to be the darkest that we've done so far. Under this one. And this one I'm not going to blend down. And those two kind of just give that pop. It's really wet. So let me look at that. And then for your highlights for this one, you just want to make sure to get any of your pencil lines gone. So like inside some of these, you probably can't see it in the video either. You're just kind of making a little bit sharper. And then if you want to add any more white dots that you didn't get or that got erased, you can add them too. Woo!
I think this guy's definitely my favorite.
Excellent! Yeah, I think it's my favorite too. I love it.
Actually, I think what I'm reminded of with this one is the original Willy Wonka movie.
Oh.
I think some of the plants that they have in the chocolate factory, I think they bite into a mushroom like this.
Oh, I love it. So if you do any extra white dots on the mushroom, you can always go back with an artist pen too and just kind of add a darker shadow underneath so they match the white dots you did also. Or the, so like these ones I added, you could just do a little bit of the pen underneath and it kind of creates those shadows again too without having to go back. But yeah, that's basically it for that one. And then I'm going to add just one little highlight here that pops out the frill on the bottom. And that one's done too.
Beautiful. You can see my gel pen did not do as well, but
Gel pens are a little harder. I mean, right when you first get gel pens, you're like, this is amazing. And like the ink is definitely there, but they definitely don't last. So I just have like a big jar of white ink and it lasts quite a while. So it works too.
Danica's trying to come through.
Oh, hi.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
This. Thank you. You can draw on this guy.
Is there any more questions? I'll have my phone right here if anyone has any questions before we end it.
Like when for these last two, I'm always just like, when we started it, like if these turn out looking good, I will be amazed. And I'm super proud, especially of the toad hat.
Oh, it looks so good. It's so pretty. I love how yours is softer too.
Yeah, it definitely looks like an old I don't know, like a Lewis and Clark watercolor journal type thing of it.
Or like one of those like the scientific or illustrated kind of drawings.
Like
Yeah, totally. Now I feel like we need to like make them into really cool journal pages and like add all of the scientific names. And I had a friend, her name is Jen King. She's from Portland. She was one of the most amazing people to go on hikes with. She knew every plant that you would pass, and she would not only give you like the normal name that I know it's not basic name. What do they call it? Like the common name, but she would give you the scientific name. It was like the coolest thing ever. I just like still one of my favorite memories. This is like science with Jen. It was awesome.
Well, like one of my favorite tutorials that you ever did was like all the botanical ones where in the journal that you did you had like good for a sore throat or
Those were good. Yeah, I anything that's like that, like total journal aesthetic. I love it so much. We should definitely do more journals. You guys have beautiful journals too. So maybe next time we'll do something in a Peerless journal on how to make it look like a science illustration. That would be a good.
Yeah, you're super good at that. Like between the botanicals and then the grimoire.
That was also my favorite. Cool. Well, my mom texted me. There's no questions, and so thank you very much for coming to our tutorial.
Thank you, Caitie, for putting up with me and taking it slower than you probably normally go.
No. That was actually pretty the accurate speed. So you did really good. Everybody. Yeah, and if you do try the tutorial, make sure to tag us. We would love to see your paintings too. And yeah.
Yeah. Are you saying bye-bye? You say bye-bye?
Bye, Seneca. Bye. Belly button.
Everyone, I hope you have a good rest of your Sunday.